Hey guys, Colby here. Welcome back to another raid video. Vault Keeper Wixwel. Is he going to be a Vault Keeper for real if you finish off the fusion? Well, I thought I'd make the video once the fusion has started to make people have a look at the guy and see, right, is he worth it or not? The fusion has barely started now, right? If you did some summons, it's not the end of the world in terms of just calling it a day if you don't want to pick him up. What I do want to say is with unique fusions such as Wixwel, where they have a unique kind of buff that might be usable in some way or another in the future, it makes the case is there to just go for it, all right? But it is true that Plarium has been making these way more difficult than in the past, okay? The fusions, then we have other events, and people get tired, I know, but I still say go for it if you have the resources. If you're just keeping them, then make sure you're keeping your resources for something very specific and you know what you're keeping them for, not just for the sake of stacking up your sacred shards or whatever, right? So, okay, we're on the test server today. I'll use the protection set for him. The reason for this is pretty solid. I want the protection buff to be available, the protected buffs to be available on my allies. It gets me some extra resistance. It gives me some extra speed. Why am I going with resistance build on the Vault Keeper Wixwel? This is primarily for running him on Hydra. That's where I think he will find the most use. Although his A1 and his passive kind of conflict together because you won't really get the big benefit out of him unless you run a very specific comp. And I'll explain that once we go into the Hydra. So in general, the way I've built him is massive defense compared to his health, but you cannot go crazy with his defense if you're running 470 resistance and 360 accuracy. These are the whereabouts where you need for Hydra Nightmare, all right? Nightmare Hydra. You require lots of stats, especially on the resistance side. You need like 500 to be on the safe side of not getting your buff stolen by the Head of Mischief, where Vault Keeper Wixwel will be the primary target because of the number of buffs that he provides to the team, plus buffs he provides to himself, such as the counterattack buff, which he has almost at all times, okay? 5,000 defense is not that high, but it's quite good. And the amount of health he has is kind of targeted because I didn't really try to give him lots of health because I want him to be sometimes the target by the Head of Decay. It will not always be the target because the Head of Decay attacks the ally with the lowest health, and that really depends on your team. So these are the stats, fully skilled up. Obviously, if we're doing the showcase, the provoke is at 100% chance when you're fighting bosses. And then we also have the intercept at the lowest cooldown with 3 turns. So what intercept does, it basically provides a buff that does not get removed until it's needed to be removed. So what intercept does, it intercepts a crowd controlling debuff from the ally. So have that in your mind. So if somebody tries to provoke your ally and you don't have a block debuff buff on, then your ally will not be provoked because they have the intercept buff. And what Wixwel does during the fights is that he spreads that intercept around on a target ally that does not have it. So once everybody has it, he can keep on adding them and stacking those up infinitely. This may cause issues sometimes with the Head of Mischief with just giving so many buffs on a target ally that that ally might have more than Wixwel. That might be the case. It might happen. So it is one negative that I already see from Wixwel. Then we have the decreased attack as an AoE attack. Plus he increases the duration of the buffs that he provides, plus all your allies provide. And he increases the value of shields. The value of each shield is increased proportional to the number of buffs. This is not big at all. Unfortunately, this could have been maybe a little bit better if I compare it to other shield extenders. What I do like though is that he provides a shield himself. The shield is not big, not by any means as big as what I don't know, Valkyrie does. So even with this extension, you're not getting a big shield. That shield is not enough to protect you from the damage that you get on the Hydra, and I'll show you guys in action. Then finally, his passive is the counterattack buff that he applies on himself. The first time around, it's protected. Eventually, it's not. But it's fine because we also have the protection set. You don't need the protection set on him, but we do have it. So he can protect some of the buffs for the duration of the fight, plus all the other benefits. In terms of masteries, you can go War Master if you're fine with the stats. I wasn't fine with the stats, so I needed Unshakable there for the extra resistance and extra accuracy through the remaining parts of the support tree. Plus getting Cycle of Magic, Lasting Gifts sounded kind of cool, and Rapid Respawns and Arcane Celerity, because he both can apply debuffs and buffs, so I thought that would be pretty nice. If you need the extra accuracy, you go with Swarm Smiter, right? And that's pretty much his build. I will say that he will be useful against bosses that can be provoked. That's not a lot in this game, right? It's basically 2. So one of the head of the Hydras, and then the Magma Dragon boss, which you can find in the Cursed City, and the Doom Tower. So let's go and see him. Well, there's no point in showcasing him in dungeons, really, because he's just a support there. I found nothing too special about that. Then for the arenas, I find that the intercept will not be that useful because it's only on a single target. If it was an AoE, this might have been a different discussion, but it's very easy to remove it, to remove that intercept. So I kind of thought he wouldn't really find a place in the arenas as just a support that can provoke. I mean, could have been a little bit better. So let's say for the clan boss, if you're gonna run a team on him, you can definitely run a team on him because of what he provides. He doesn't provide something very unique for clan boss, and I don't think many players will find big use out of him. Although if you need a buff extender, you didn't have one, well, here he is. If you needed some sort of shields to help you a little bit, here he is. Okay, so have that in mind. The provoke will do nothing for you. The counterattack that he does, yes, it gives a little bit of damage, but in the end of the day, it's basically 0. So is the shield going to be big enough with 5,000 defense? I know it's not a lot, but is it going to be big enough? Let's have a look now. So we see the shield. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars worth of shielded health. Okay, not a lot at all. So the block debuffs you still require. If you want to be affinity friendly, you will still require it, and you will still probably run a setup where you use the block debuffs buff instead of use the intercept in order to protect you. Okay, so have that in mind. Then we have multiple different buffs from all of the allies here, all right, that we have, and then Wixwel will come in for the extension of those buffs. This is not a speed tune team, it's just a showcase of what he can do. Plus, let's have a look at the shields and how much he'll extend them based on the number of defense he has. Let's see. He extends them to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, not that much. You cannot run him in a team where you'll have bigger and bigger shields just by himself. You probably need another, for sure, buff extender if you're going to run crazy amounts of buffs. That will also help Wixwel do more of the amount of shield extension. But also, I will say, you need somebody like Brogni. If you're going to run a shield team, you need somebody like Brogni to really make it work. By himself, he's not going to be it, especially for just the shield amount. So that's it for the clan boss. I'm not really going to show the team here, but it would be a team where he basically protects everyone through the extension of the buffs, the block debuff that Alva provides. And we have Newton and Acresia doing damage, and Krila just sending everyone for the ally attack at different intervals. So then for the Hydra, what we do here is, this is the setup that I've chosen to do. I've just replaced my Krisk and my Sifi for this one. So what are we trying to do here? Basically, we need a consistent provoke. We're going to have it through the Archer, because that's an AoE provoke. It's not a targeted one, so she doesn't throw that attack at a random head. That's pretty good. That's why she's great in the Hydra. So what does Wixwel provide for this team? He provides the increased defense and a shield that helps you stay healthy, but it does not really protect you against a lot of damage, which you do receive, especially without an ally protection buff. If he had also ally protection, this would have been much, much better. Decreased attack is nice having it, so having another way to apply it other than with my boy here, Artak, is pretty solid way to stay healthy. And then the provoke is there, plus the counterattack. So if you check on the healths of everybody in my team, he has the lowest amount of health, so 44k, and then everybody has basically higher than that. But as my team's health fluctuates, during the duration of the fight, this will also change. Their health change, and it's based on the current health, not the maximum health. Okay, if it was maximum health, we could definitely manipulate the Head of Decay to attack us. So you'll see on what I mean by that. I want to throw in the provoke now from, not him, I'm going to use the buffs now actually. There's the buff starting out. Do some HP burns. I want to have the archer. We get attack there, we get resisted, that's pretty nice. And then there's the provoke actually there, pretty good. Not sure why he attacked with the A1, but yeah, still pretty nice. Then I got an extra turn, that's nice. And then I'm gonna apply the provoke basically again, because it's gonna be 2-turn provoke. So I'm not gonna rely on him being the one. But as you see here, because we had that amount of health, the Head of Decay already attacked him. So that's the ideal way to go if you're trying to run multiple shields to help you. But if you're running Relentless sets, the shields will expire even though you're running as you see here, the Relentless sets proccing. Even though you're extending the buffs, you cannot really depend on like having forever shields. You probably need another extender in there and some bigger shields to stay healthy. Because now, right now, you see my Mishinagi has shifted in terms of the amount of health he has, and probably he will be getting attacked now by the Head of Decay compared to my Wixwel. All right. What I would say, what I would go with probably with this one, probably something that heals you based on your max health. That's gonna help everybody except for Artak maybe, but you cannot not run any healers in the squad if you're running Wixwel with shields. Even though you have some shields, you will still need that. So he provides a good utility with the provoke, and with a good setup, like with the provokes and everything that he provides, decreases attack, increased defense, you are tankier. You will survive, and this will be leading you to higher damages in the Hydra, which is the goal, right? That is what I'm trying to do here. I do not think though that the intercept buff helps so much, but I specifically removed Sifi from this team because I wanted to see the intercept buff in action, because the Head of the Wrath that immediately popped up now, that one can provoke you. That will be one buff removed from at least 2 of my allies. One intercept buff, which is pretty cool. I have no way of controlling that intercept. I still think intercept could have been a little bit better because it's like having a block debuffs. But because it also helps with sheep, that's, I guess, the argument that Plarion was making, because you can basically hopefully use him as a PvP champion as well. But I don't see that kind of case. So I'm waiting here for provokes to see the intercept. So the Head of Wrath will attack soon, so that's going to be one provoke coming through. So as you see there, the buffs got reduced. Ugo, I guess he received a weak hit, so instead of receiving a provoke, he was received a weak hit, and that basically allowed me to keep my 2 stacks of the buff right there. So that's pretty cool. And that's Wixwel, right? That's Wixwel as a support. Not the most insane support, but can definitely find uses. So you can see there on how you're gonna go about using him. Without the books though, with many of these champions, especially supports, you'll not see the full value. And having a 5-turn cooldown because you don't have the books, it's gonna diminish his power. So it depends on how many books you have, how many books you're willing to spend on a support. I personally wouldn't be that willing to spend them on a support, especially if I was on a fresh new account and I needed something more that would help me for the clan boss. He will not help you get a 1 key for the clan boss. If you have other champions that can do a 1 key team, yeah, okay. Wixwel is not going to be the key for a 1 key team unless what you were looking for is the extension of buffs, which is something many champions have at the moment. It's not as it was in the past where we had Krisk basically. That's how it was, and then I think 1 or 2 rares. 1 rare and then one epic at a point. At a point we had a very low amount of champions that did it. Not that we have so many right now, but it's been a trend where they keep on adding these. So that's how I like Wixwel so far. I still don't see him being used over a block debuff buff, especially as you can see how many buffs we're receiving. There's no way around it, especially with the provoke. He will not be able to apply the intercept so many times so that it's worth it, all right, to go without a block debuff buff, because the provoke can be annoying. Of course, once you get the head down, the provokes will be cleansed immediately, but it all depends on the setups that you guys are running. So cleansers will be helpful in addition to Wixwel, and high damage dealers are also going to be helpful to get the heads down quicker. All right, as you can see here, this is not like a quick team by any means, although it does feature like 4 damage dealers and basically 2 supports at this point. So let's end the battle. You're not going to see any damage from Wixwel, although I could definitely see some uses for him if you eventually have blessings such as, let me show you which blessing I mean. If you have managed to get a blessing on him, then he can potentially become much better for one area of the game, and that is also the Fire Knight. So with the blessings, you would go probably, most likely, if you're having issues with Fire Knight, with faultless defense. So whenever an enemy attacks an ally under increased defense placed by this champion, reflects a portion of the damage back to the attacker. So that will be basically 5 stacks of the Fire Knight's shield removed, plus counter attack from Wixwel with his A1 skill, which is a double hitting skill. So it's basically 7 stacks of the Fire Knight shield removed because of Wixwel. I tried to pull some soul stones to get a blessing to showcase this, but I literally didn't get any for him. Even a 1-star would have allowed me to do this. So it can allow you to do this. It just remove 7 stacks from the Fire Knight shield, and just consider that for Fire Knight hard, where it's something that you might be finding problems with, but also consider it for the lower difficulties, where you have like 12 stacks of the shield for the Fire Knight, and it can still be annoying if you don't have some sort of way to remove those. So the counter attack plus 1-star blessing, which we will probably be able to acquire after the fusion ends, they probably will do something for us to get like a Titan event, like that, some sort of event to pick up a blessing for him. So that's it, guys, for today, for the showcase. Short and sweet, showcasing Wixwel. I am personally going for him already. I do think he's worth it just because of the uniqueness of it, although it is a resource stressful kind of situation where, especially for summons, it's gonna be, you know, drawing through all of the saved up summons you had, and then also your silver through the artifact enhancement and all of that stuff. But if you do every single one of the events, you pick stuff up, the rares needed, then you should be okay. The epics are good. The affinity potions you'll have to run them through to ascend everybody. That is how it goes. You guys know the deal. And if you manage to also pick up an extra epic, I showcased it in one of my videos like 2 days ago or something. He actually, that epic actually does some solid damage for the hard Hydra as an example, so you can use it as a damage dealer even. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you all. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.